as the Bulldogs prepare for their finale against Georgia Tech. But I wanted to take it, continue this conversation with Alabama, because that's everybody's aim, and it's been talked about all season. You've got your folks that think it's going to be an epic classic, and you've got your folks that think Georgia's just too good, flat out too good this year, this Georgia edition. The one thing I would say in Alabama's struggles, it seems to be an offensive line issue that maybe they've cleaned up to a certain extent, but that's why they struggled against LSU and Texas A&M among some other teams. So obviously Georgia's dominated everybody since Clemson. That was a good game, close game. Alabama's had its issues against the likes of Florida, LSU, Texas A&M. So your thoughts about where the advantages lie in the matchups against Bama?
So Georgia obviously is going to want to lean on its defense, but Georgia has a really solid offense. A lot of people kind of discount it and probably shouldn't. Alabama's averaging 44 points a game. Georgia's averaging 40. Alabama's got a pretty solid defense, but it's nowhere near the caliber of Georgia. You know, they're allowing almost 20 points a game versus Georgia allowing just over 7.5. So it's pretty difficult to weigh those two out on a number scale. But one of the things I keep looking at is whenever you see that Georgia played some of the same teams and the scores were wildly different. Georgia and Arkansas, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Arkansas, Alabama, Florida. Scores were wildly different. I understand the transitive property doesn't necessarily apply in college football. Alabama seems to want to throw the ball quite a bit more than they pass, and Georgia's extremely balanced. Georgia's weakness, at least against some of the opponents we've played, seems to be the deep ball threat, the deep ball coverage. Georgia's strength lies in its defensive line, especially in Jordan Davis. They're going to have to account for Jordan Davis. Watching how much I have seen the Alabama quarterback scramble and run, I'm really concerned that he's going to have difficulty against Georgia. Georgia seems to do really well against running quarterbacks, whether it's Mr. Ritter from Cincinnati, Ian Book from Notre Dame. The running quarterbacks seem to struggle. I can't remember the exact number of times that we sacked the Clemson quarterback, but I think it was 5+. If you go back to the last game Georgia played before CSU, I believe we played Tennessee. I think he was sacked 5 times plus. He was pretty mobile. Georgia kind of has a great plan for not just getting after the quarterback, but managing to contain them. And that's going to play a big factor. What's that?
Bo Nix.
Yeah, Bo Nix. Yeah.
Yeah, they took care of those guys.
So that doesn't concern me. It's the deep ball threat and the quick strike. That was a concern against Tennessee. And there were quite a few times where I felt like they had receivers that were open. If they'd had maybe a little better of a quarterback, more experienced, or better receivers like Mechie, who can put himself in a little better position, that's going to be a problem. If Georgia can maintain possession, if Georgia can come out and continue to keep their foot on the gas, I think it's going to be a good game. I could still see Georgia winning this game by 10 points. But I think for fans that think this is going to be a blowout game, I don't agree with that assessment. I think Alabama's got a really solid football team. They got a lot of talent on that field. Nick Saban is arguably the greatest coach of all time. And that's what you're going up against. There's only been one assistant that's ever beat him. And it's an impressive resume. So you got to contend with all that. To throw your hands up and say, oh, Georgia's going to kill them. Well, that's what we're going to tell each other. But if we're going to be objective, you got to say they've got a lot of weapons. We've got a lot of weapons. What's going to happen? I think it's really going to come down to Georgia stopping the explosive downfield passing. If we can stop that, we'll do well.